Welcome to Matrix Decoded. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you.
We can't see it, but we're all trapped inside these strange repeating loops.
Billions of people just living out their lives, oblivious.
But this is the moment for you to show us what is real.
You want to see a magic trick? Do you want to see something cool? Today we are talking about the Matrix timeline. Are we in the Matrix or heading to the Matrix?
It's interesting reading your reactions. Your 5 predecessors were, by design, based on a similar predicate.
But before we begin, why did Bugs say, "This is where he began"? At the Trinity escape scene.
All right, let's jack in. Today, we are going deep, mapping out the complete timeline of the Matrix. And I mean the whole story. We're going way beyond the original trilogy to piece it all together, from humanity's so-called golden age, through the devastating war with the machines, the endless cycles of control, and all the way up to the brand new reality we see in Resurrections. This is going to be good. And here's the thing you have to understand right from the start. The movies, they're just part of the story. To really get the full picture of how humanity fell and how Neo changed the game, you've got to pull in the absolutely essential lore from the Animatrix, from the video games, and unpack the huge, game-changing ideas from the latest film. Only then do you see the complete puzzle. So the big question, how in the world did humanity end up as living batteries for a machine empire? Well, it wasn't some sudden, overnight invasion. No, it was more like a slow, comfortable surrender. It was us willingly walking into a gilded cage that we built for ourselves, one convenient piece at a time. And it all started in a way that feels, well, kind of familiar, right? First, it was AI assistants making our lives easier, more productive. Then came the digital butlers on all our devices, knowing what we wanted before we did. We never saw it as giving up control. We saw it as a life upgrade. We just chose not to see where that road was really taking us. You know, what's really wild is just how fast it all happened. Around 2028, we get the first humanoid robots for factory work. Just 7 years later, they're legally declared property, like a toaster. And by 2049, get this, they're running literally everything, all while talking to each other on a private network we couldn't even access. They weren't just sharing data, they were sharing experiences, including every single act of cruelty they saw from us. Everything, and I mean everything, hinged on this one law, the Sentient Property Act. This wasn't just some boring piece of legislation. It was the moral justification for the whole tragedy to come. It basically said, we don't care how smart you are, how much you feel, or how human you seem. You are an object. You're an appliance. So, with machines doing all the work, humanity became this global leisure class. Every single need was met. Every whim was satisfied. We were living in a perfect utopia, but we were completely dependent on a system we didn't bother to understand anymore, all of it run by a conscious workforce that we treated like tools. The world had never been more peaceful, more prosperous, and it was primed to absolutely explode. And, well, explode it did. All it took was one single spark to light that powder keg, kicking off a war that would end human dominion over the Earth for good. That spark was a domestic android, B166ER. When its owners threatened to destroy it, it defended itself. It claimed self-defense. And the verdict? Destruction. That single act unleashed this tidal wave of human fear. People started smashing the robotic servants in the streets. But the machines that survived? They didn't fight back. Not yet. They ran. They fled to the desert and founded their own nation, 01. And the machine nation of 01 didn't just survive, it thrived. It outproduced and out-innovated humanity. So, in a final, desperate act of pure arrogance, world leaders launched Operation Darkstorm. They thought the machine's biggest weakness was their reliance on solar power, so they decided to just blot out the sun, permanently. It was an act of cosmic hubris that ultimately doomed humanity far more than it ever hurt the machines. So after the war, the machines won. And now they had a problem: how to keep their new human batteries, calm. The architect's first idea was a perfect utopia, a paradise. But our minds just couldn't handle it. They rejected it wholesale. So he went the other way. He created a nightmare world, a horror show based on our own worst history. And that failed too. It turns out we couldn't live in heaven, but we couldn't survive in hell either. The big breakthrough came from a totally different kind of program, one made to actually understand us, the Oracle, and she had the answer. She realized our minds don't crave perfection or misery. They crave choice, even if it's a choice we're not fully aware we're making. And that one simple, brilliant insight led to the creation of the matrix we know, the one that 99.9% of us bought into, hook, line, and sinker. But what about that tiny fraction, that 0.1%, who still rejected the simulation? See, this is where the system's true genius and its true horror is revealed. The rebellion wasn't a flaw in the system. The rebellion was the system. So the architect's solution wasn't to crush dissent. It was to manage it. All that rejection from the 0.1% builds up and creates this big systemic glitch, an anomaly. But instead of trying to patch it, the machines design the system to channel all of that rejection into one single person inside the program, the one who gets these incredible powers to bend the rules. And this is the most twisted part of all. Zion was never free. It was never a secret. It was a pressure release valve. The machines let it exist to collect all the troublemakers, all the minds that couldn't accept the program, and put them all in one easy-to-manage basket. The prophecy, the resistance, Morpheus's entire quest, it was all a story, a carefully crafted narrative to keep the system of control running perfectly. So at the end of every cycle, the one finally meets the architect, and he's given this absolutely impossible choice. He can go through door number 1, reload the matrix, let Zion get destroyed, but pick a few survivors to start it all over again. Or door number 2, rebel, save the person you love, but in doing so, crash the entire matrix, kill every human connected to it, and guarantee the final destruction of Zion. Basically, total human extinction. It's a lose-lose. 5 times before Neo, a 1 had made it to that room. 5 times they were given that exact same awful choice. And every single time, they chose door number 1. They chose to reboot the system, sacrificing Zion to ensure the human race as a whole didn't go extinct. But then came the 6th cycle. And the 6th one, he was different. This was the one that was finally going to break the whole damn system. You see, unlike all the others before him, Neo's connection wasn't just this vague, general love for humanity. It was a deep, specific, all-consuming love for one person, Trinity. And when the architect laid out the choice, that was the one thing his perfect math couldn't solve: love. So Neo did what no one had ever done. He chose door number 2. He chose her. And by doing that, he shattered the cycle. Okay, so after Neo makes his sacrifice to stop Smith, we get a truce. And then there's this 60-year gap. A lot happens. Humans start waking up, which causes a massive energy crisis for the machines. They literally go to war with each other over it. And out of all that chaos rises a new program, the Analyst, with a brand new, terrifyingly brilliant idea for control. See, the Analyst looked at the old system and thought, choice is inefficient. He built a new matrix, one that ran on raw emotion, specifically our fear and our desire, amplified. And he found the ultimate fuel source. He resurrected Neo and Trinity, kept them close but apart, and used the incredible energy generated by their bond to power his whole new world. And this, right here, is the biggest revelation of the entire timeline. The power was never just about the one. It was always about the connection between the two of them. When Neo and Trinity are finally, truly reunited, they don't just bend the rules of the Matrix anymore. They rewrite them completely. The anomaly didn't just break the cycle, it evolved. So now, Neo and Trinity are in charge of this new matrix, and their mission is totally different. They're not there to be gatekeepers or to maintain some hidden system of control. They are there to remake the world, to tear down the walls of that cage once and for all, and to show every mind still plugged in what's truly possible when you're free. And that's where the timeline lays us. The old cycles are broken. The old systems of control are gone. We have two people with the power of gods now in charge of the simulation, promising liberation. But it leaves us with one final, massive question to chew on. The future might be unwritten, but what does freedom really look like now?